I'm in my CD-TV bag right now with a video like this coming after the last one. Instead of talking about covers that I don't like, we're flipping it today and talking about covers that I do like, and in some cases that I like more than the original. Like with the last one, let's start off with a couple easy picks that I won't go into too much detail over. The first two I've already talked about on this channel before in the past, the motionless and white version of Somebody Told Me.
Somebody told me you had a boyfriend and looked like a girlfriend.
And the Captain Graveyard cover of For Sure. Funny enough, both of these made it into the same video, my favorite songs of 2020, with For Sure being on the main list and Somebody Told Me ending up as an honorable mention, and I stick by everything I said. When it comes to the motionless and white cover at least, I still like the Killers version and would listen to it anytime it comes on. It's an iconic song. There is a reason why I recognize the lyrics and melody the first time I heard the cover, despite not knowing the name of the song or who made it. With that being said, I've spent several years only listening to the cover, so I've just grown a bias towards it. Chris's singing is in that same realm as Brent Smith's, where I just have so much fun trying to reshape my voice to match his when singing along to it. I also like how the hi-hats are more noticeable in the cover's mix than in the original, along with them being panned heavier towards the left rather than the light lean to the right. The Captain Graveyard cover of For Sure, on the other hand, is one that I will exclusively only listen to. I'm sorry, I'm just too far removed from the MySpace scene core. The original song is so unlistenable to me. Another two easy ones that I can bring up, but I don't feel like there's much for me to say about them, are No Doubt's It's My Life.
It's my life. Don't you forget.
And Gary Jules' Mad World.
It's a very, very mad world.
The thing with these songs is that I constantly forget that they're covers. I first heard It's My Life through the No Doubt cover, and I vividly remember hearing the Talk Talk version playing in a cafe and thinking, what the fuck is this? God, they ruined the song, just to find out it was the original and I had been listening to a cover the whole time. While I don't think the original is bad, I would still rather listen to the cover just because that's what I'm used to. The strings in the opening, the guitars in the chorus, and Gwen Stefani singing are all just core staples of the song to me, since that's the version I've always heard. Gary Jules' Mad World is funny, because, again, I only ever knew Mad World as this song. I think you could ask anybody in my generation and they might tell you the same. Going back to the Tears for Fears original and hearing an 80s dance song when all you've known this track to be is a sad piano ballad is kind of hilarious. But I also think it's worth bringing up this cover here because I went against the slow down songs and put them in a minor key genre in my last video. Outside of my inherent bias, I do think the key difference between Mad World and Hit Me With Your Best Shot is that Mad World's lyrics inherently are depressing sounding, that when you deliver them melodramatically over a piano, it still sounds fitting, unlike trying to slowly and somberly sing the lyrics Tough Cookie. Also, the Gears of War 3 trailer. That trailer gave me a new love for the song because the timing of the words Mad World over the alien and the way the classic Xbox 360 transition syncs up with the song, it's so good. One tiny mention I want to put in here is Rick Astley's Pink Pony Club.
God, what have you done? You're a pink pony girl, and you're dancing in the club now, mama.
Honestly, this was initially put on here just as a joke, but then I listened to the song and it's not bad. It's surprisingly pretty good. The concept of the Never Gonna Give You Up guy covering Pink Pony Club specifically is just very funny in of itself, but then it actually sounding good is what justifies it being brought up. Especially when you can boil it down to being white guy with acoustic guitar, trademarked by Todd in the Shadows, which is an easy way for a song to suck, and Rick Astley pulls it off. It's also being very secure and comfortable in his sexuality and masculinity, and that's very cool. And lastly, when it comes to the pseudo-honorable mention section before getting into the main list, I should probably now address this comment I made in my last video. I have an immensely unpopular opinion if I were to do a list of cover songs I like more than the original. It's gone away. Let's just rip the band-aid off immediately. It's gone away. Now, fuck you if you think this is backpedaling, but if I made this video several years ago, I would have thrown myself into the fire because 19-year-old me held the opinion that the original Offspring song just sounded like a generic rock song, and that the Five Finger Death Punch version had more emotion to it. And I'm glad to say that the version of me in my mid-20s can put some goddamn respect on Brian Holland's performance in the chorus, because Jesus Christ, I could feel the pain in his voice during that. With that being said, the Five Finger Death Punch cover is the version I heard of this song first, and while I can see how they turned the original into a very generic, melodramatic Five Finger Death Punch coded version that feels reminiscent of Disturbed Sound of Silence, or as a friend told me, Taylor Swift's September, them turning the song into more of a somber ballad is exactly what I needed at the time of when the song was released. I was fresh off of a breakup and in the sad phase, so that version went straight into my sad boy playlist, and I listened to it a lot. If I were to listen to the song now, I would probably pick the original, but the cover holds a soft spot in my heart, and I will always be inherently biased towards it. So there you go, that's the unpopular opinion I had that was based on a take I made like half a decade ago that I no longer feel so strongly towards because I grew up. With that being said, though, the 2025 re-recording sucks fucking ass like the rest of them. It somehow took out the emotion that most people would say didn't even exist to begin with, and even the instrumental sounds worse. Alright, so starting with the actual list, I'm gonna throw a little curveball, because we're talking about the Hatsune Miku cover of Enjoy the Silence made by Astrophysics. I don't know if this would qualify as a cover in the general sense. I say that because it's not really an official Hatsune Miku song, though I guess I don't really know what official would be when it comes to her. Everybody can have access to Miku, but regardless, this is one of the two Hatsune Miku songs I listen to, so I'd be remiss to not bring it up. It's also not a cover that I would say I like more than the original. I love the Depeche Mode version too much to say that, but Astrophysics did a damn good job with this version. For one, the instrumental was remade to fit more into that electronic, computerized vibe of Vocaloid, as well as making it sound a lot more darker and atmospheric than the original. That's especially apparent during the little moment around 2 minutes in when the instrumental just becomes almost apocalyptic. There's also this industrial-sounding drum breakdown that then includes these hauntingly angelic vocals from Miku that is such a nice addition to the song, in my opinion. Honestly, this could qualify as a great example of what to do with a cover. How to take something, change it up slightly, but keeping all the fundamentals, and be able to add little things that help with the new version you've created without taking away from the song itself. As somebody who has listened to the original to fucking death, I enjoy these two little additions. And while I love the original guitar tone way more, it's what made me love the song to begin with, I do love the synth guitar used for this version. I will say, as someone who has very limited knowledge when it comes to using Miku and Vocaloid, I do not understand how Astrophysics was able to get her to sing in English. Do I want to know? Not really. I like my dumbassery behind Vocaloid and only knowing that the characters work when I specifically feed them Japanese to lend to the mystery behind this. Anyways, it's a great version of Enjoy the Silence. From here on, this list becomes covers that I would actually listen to over the original, which does not mean that the originals are bad. I just prefer the cover more, mostly due to inherent biases. And screw it, we're gonna start this off with something that might be a tad bit controversial, honestly, I don't know. But I also find bringing this cover up funny, given the last video. It's Pat Benatar's version of Wuthering Heights. I once again feel the need to stress that I am not saying the original version is bad. Kate Bush is great, her singing is great, the song is great. I also had no idea it existed until the movie came out and I got it thrown into my YouTube Shorts algorithm and I was like, damn, I recognize this melody. I didn't know it came from the Running Up That Hill woman. It wasn't until I took my mom out for lunch on Mother's Day and on the drive back I was playing Pat Benatar because my parents, and specifically my mom, is what got me into her, and her cover started playing and I was like, damn, I didn't know Pat Benatar made a cover of this. It sounds great. And then as I was preparing this video and creating the list, that it dawned on me as I listened to the two back to back, I'm pretty sure this is the version that was probably played during my childhood and how I recognize the melody to begin with, because it's the one that feels the most familiar to me. And that's probably why I would rather listen to Wuthering Heights when it's done by Pat Benatar, on top of the instrumental leading towards that 80s rock vibe of Benatar songs. That clean guitar running through a chorus and some reverb is just chef's kiss. But then there's just Pat's voice. I just love her voice way more. It's so good. God, she's such an angel. I don't think Kate's voice is bad, but especially at the start of the song, it's so up in the higher register that it's a tad bit too much for me personally. I prefer Pat's lower register. With that being said, I will note that Kate dropping like 30 octaves for the line "I hated you" is really funny to me. I like that. Like I said, both versions are great, but I prefer the Benatar version personally. Also, just go listen to Pat Benatar. She's great, and her songs kick ass. Next up, we got my personal introduction to Three Teeth with their version of Pumped Up Kicks. I actually don't hate the original song. It came out when I was young, so it was during some of my early formative years. My dad fucking hates the dichotomy of the track being so happy-go-lucky and then the lyrics of school shootings, but I don't entirely mind it. In fact, if I'm gonna listen to the Foster's the People version, it's actually gonna be the Bridge and Law remix that turns into an EDM song, but that's because of my inner edgelord. But if I'm going to actively go out of my way to listen to pumped up kicks, it's gonna be the Three Teeth version that removes the dichotomy between the music and the lyrics and gives the song about a school shooter an industrial metal backdrop that fits so perfectly. The atmospheric textures in the background, synth bass, and the electric guitars all create a dark, dystopian vibe that benefits the lyrics greatly, and Lex's singing makes it even better. And it's also another case of having vocals that I find so fun to sing along to. We also forego the whistle solo from the original and replace it with a solo that starts off with what sounds like an electric guitar and then played on a great sounding synth patch. The cover just embraces the dark, fucked up nature of school shootings and leads heavily towards the edgelord nature, that I just find myself enjoying this one way more. If the original song plays, I don't mind listening to it, but like I said, if I'm gonna go out of my way to listen to Pumped Up Kicks, or have the song in my playlist, it's gonna be the Three Teeth version. Next up is a vocal cover that uses the same instrumental as the original, but it's the version of the song that introduced it to me, and the one I only ever go to listen to it, and that's Jubyphonic's Wildfire. I've said it in the past when I've talked about Vocaloid, but the genre is just not really my thing. And I think Juby lending an actual human performance is one of the reasons why I prefer this over the original. Her singing during the pre-chorus sounds so good, and I love the emotion in her voice during the second verse. Wildfire was also a special song for me to hear, with it being recommended to me by a friend during the peak of my insecurities over my opinions, the constant discourse I'd end up in, and hate comments in general. So I spun this bitch so fucking much back then. And if it wasn't for Juby's version, I might have never been introduced to this gem. And I think for the fact that it's a song I go to for relatability, having a human performance elevates it and helps it become more relatable, rather than a robot voice that most of the time sounds clunky in comparison to me. I do also fuck with the version of Bad Apple. That feels like a necessity to bring up. If I made this list several years ago, I would probably say I like the version more than the original for the fact that it's in English and I can understand the depressing-ass lyrics. But I've seen enough Bad Apple with literally anything involving two colors and an on-off switch that I've grown used to the original. Between the two songs, I'd go with Wildfire any day of the week. Next up, we're keeping it on the YouTube. Why'd I say that like a boomer? Fuck it, I'm keeping that. With Derek Blackman's cover of Waiting for Tonight featuring Brian Storm and Alexander P.
Waiting for tonight.
Gotta be honest, I've never heard the original J-Lo song until now, and it's pretty much what I expected. A standard pop dance track with a 4-on-the-floor drum beat, slightly funky bass, and some Spanish influences in its instruments. It's not bad, but Derek's version just hits different. For one, Brian Storm from Rockfeed doing most of the clean vocals surprised the hell out of me when the song first dropped. I had seen a couple of his videos here and there, but never expected him to be able to sing, let alone that good. Another cover I could have chosen from Derek is his version of NSYNC's Tearing Up My Heart featuring Jonathan Young. And while that one's good, I knew going into it that Jonathan is a great singer, so there wasn't that initial, holy shit, this guy can sing reaction that Brian gave me. Alexander upgrades the drum beat from the 4-on-the-floor to double bass and extra use of the rest of the kit. He pulls out that open hat rhythm during a portion that I feel like I've run into the ground how much I love that rhythm, but it's true. It's my favorite thing a drummer could do. It's so simple, but sounds so good to me. Derek's backing growls to accent certain lines just sounds so good as well. And I also love how during the bridge full of growls, he continues the trend of accenting a line by doing a higher pitch growl over his lower register growl. It's great. I also love the guitar tones on here too. And the opening track having just the left guitar playing and Alexander's hats over it, it just sounds so good. Is it your standard pop-turned-metal kind of track? Yeah, kinda. But there was no way I was gonna make a song about covers that I like and not bring this one up. Outside of my bias of just liking Derek from his main channel back in the day, the Twitter Trash series, and then especially Snark Tank, it's just a great version of the song. And finally, the last cover I'll be talking about today. When it comes to covers, there's one that's placed on every single list for how iconic it is. It's the epitome of taking a song and making it your own, to the point that the original artists themselves have said that the song is now owned by the creator of the cover. That being Johnny Cash's cover of Nine Inch Nails' Hurt. But I want to talk about a different Nine Inch Nails cover. with a good chunk of this list, I know of Closer because of In This Moment. I grew up through my teen years only knowing Closer as an In This Moment song, which is why trying to go back and listen to the original is such a weird and off-putting experience for me. I am so used to that bass line being done on a bass guitar with this dirty tone, I am never prepared to hear the bass patch he used on the original song. And no hate to Trent Reznor, I like seeing him pop up in movie scores, and I respect him saying he used oink. But I love Maria Brink singing way more. And as I've said before, there's some sort of power in a woman saying that she's gonna penetrate you. I know the song is about sex addiction and removes any shred of appeal behind sex and leaves an animalistic nature of lust, which is why it sucks seeing people fortunate sunning it by acting like it's a sex song, and I can see people seeing this cover as glorifying the sex and making it come off more sexual, but I still think it fits the point, especially when it's on the same album as Adrenalize. But ultimately, this is the version of Closer that I know and love, and the first thing I thought of when trying to create this list. It's the biggest example of inherent bias towards the version of the song that you've heard first, for me personally. And with that, is the end of this list.
Oh, you thought this was the end? Did you not see the timeline, dummy? There was no way that I can make a list of covers that I like and constantly bring up ones that I like more than the original, and not bring up the epitome of, this is the only way I will ever listen to this song. And that is the Hatsune Miku version of Around the World. I don't know what it is about the song, if it's my meme-rotted goblin brain, but like, I can only ever listen to Around the World if it's this low-quality 12-bit ass version of Hatsune Miku doing it. And I cannot stress enough, it has to be the low-quality version. I will accept nothing more. If anything, this is the Hatsune Miku song that I listen to the most out of the two. It's even got Vocaloid Callie on it. I refuse to learn her actual name. It's Vocaloid Callie to me. There's really not much else for me to say here. There was just no way I was going to make a list about covers and not bring this one up. I just had to. Was it worth going through all the effort to do this just for this one little bit? Probably not.
And finally, that is actually it for this list. What did you think of my picks? What are some cover songs you like or prefer over the original? Tell me in the comments down below. And with all that being said, hope you have a good day.
And of course, everyone has their own opinion, but my opinion is the best opinion. I'm sure you figured that out already.
Subscribe, please.